Madhava Kunja Bihari. Little slower. Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Balaba Girivara Hari. Gopi Janna Balaba Girivara Hari. Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari.
Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtota Satashla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki, Shri Shri Lakshmana Sringadev Ki, Shri Varaha Deva ki, Shri Radha Govinda Madhava ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhaktivedanta. Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi. Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Paschacha Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Mritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Kapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svavatantikam. Hare Krishna. Nice to be back in New Mayapur. It's nice for all of us to be back in New Mayapur. We may need a translation into French or some language. Hare Bo, Janava. Nice to see you after a long time. Hare Krishna. And everybody else after a short time. So will there be a translation for Philip? Anybody else needs a translation? Everyone else is okay? I apologize. Well, of course, many of us do not speak French properly. So which verse are we on today, please? Number? 58? 58, thank you. We are reading the 10th canto, chapter 1, text number 58. The chapter is entitled The Advent of Lord Krishna, Introduction. I guess I don't know, let's see, maybe when Janmashtami comes, Balaram's appearance day comes, it might be somewhat appropriate to the particular event that we're reading in the Bhagavatam class. These chapters will be going on, I don't know how long this chapter is, it's quite long. But the next chapter will be prayers by the demigods. So let's see what Krishna's plans are. So today we're very fortunate to be associating with Srimad Bhagavatam, the personification of Lord Shri Krishna. We could say in a literary form or a sound form, but nonetheless it is Krishna himself. Every single word of the Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental. And if we hear carefully, try to digest what we're hearing, we will get the result. It's just like food. If the food is good, healthy, and if we digest it, we will get benefit, physical benefit. The same thing on the mental platform. Of course, most people's hearing, as we understand from the first canto Srimad Bhagavatam, is they are hearing the words of crows, it states. Materialistic subject matter, they're all very keyed. Most people are not keen to hear transcendental subjects. They have no interest. Their interest is to hear subject matter fit for crows. Material subject. And they don't realize the effect of that. Even mode of goodness hearing still conditions us, still keeps us in this illusion, under the influence of Maya, affected by the Kali Yuga. This Kali Yuga is so strong, powerful effects. We are born into it, we don't realize how much we're still affected by it. Very strong. I was reading this morning from Kalyana Kalpatru, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, how does that go? Kali Kukura? I can't remember. Whole song, beautiful song. How yes, Kali Yuga is so powerful, and how it creates such automatic friction. As Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj says, that this, especially this age, Kali Yuga, but all times, material world means this annoyance and friction all the time. Always, automatically, we put ourselves in the center, and a match and a matchbox, and they strike, and then you get fire. Quarrel is known as the age of quarrel. And when we see quarrel, we know that Kali Yuga is laughing. It's the effect of Kali. Yes. Kirtan, hearing Bhagavatam, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and hearing the holy name, are not just mechanical. Of course, that's still something good, but actually hearing, absorbing ourselves in the sound of the holy name, understanding this is Krishna. It's not just some names that we recite, like the alphabet or something, but it is the name of Krishna. It is Krishna. The deity is Krishna. We don't take it lightly. That's so, I like to, what's the word? I don't want to use the right word, but thank you very much. The pujaris is such beautiful service they're rendering to their deities. Beautifully. They're so nicely dressed, and it just brings out the feeling of Krishna's here. The same thing with kirtan. It should be that we feel Krishna's presence, not just I enjoyed the kirtan. We're not here to enjoy kirtan, exactly. Maybe they're in the neophyte stage, but we're here to serve Krishna. We're here to please Krishna. And if the kirtan reminds us of Krishna, Radha and Krishna, then the kirtan is real kirtan. So, same thing with Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada writes, if we hear the Bhagavatam attentively, we will see Krishna on the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not just remembering verses, that can be good also. But that may or may not be in the right attitude, but it's actually remembering Krishna. So let us see what mercy is being bestowed upon us today, and we'll read this verse together. Please chant. King dusahang nu sadhunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim akaryam kadayanam dustyajam kim drita atmanam kim doshaham no sadhunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim akaryang kadayanang dustyajang king gritatmanam kim doshahang no sadhunam Vidusham kim upekshitam kim akaryam kadaryanam dustyajam kim vitatmanam kindu shahang nu sadhunam vidusham kim upekshitam kim akaryam kadayana kim akaryam kadayanam dustyajam kim vitatmanam
Kindusham no sadhunam Vidusham kim apekshitam Kim akaryam kadaryanam Dustyajam kim vitatmanam
Kindushaham nu sadhunam Vidusham kim apekshitam Kim akaryam kadaryanam Dushyaja kim drutatmanam
Ladies,
Hindushaham sadhunam Vidusham kim apekshitam Himakayam kadavyanam Dustyajam kim vitatmanam Hindushaham sadhunam Vidusham kim apekshitam Himakayam kadavyanam
Kim, what is? If you learn nothing else in today's class, you can learn what Kim means. It's not somebody's name, it can be also somebody's name, but it means what is. Dusaham, painful. Too loud? Take it away. They stick it in my mouth, I stick it back. No! Indeed. Sadhunam. Oh, wait. For saintly persons. Vidusham. Of learned persons. We don't want to cause you pain, but this is painful. Too loud. Huh? So many pains in this world. Kim. Guess what it means?
What is?
What is? What is? Apeshitam. Dependence. Kim. What is? Akaryam. Forbidden work. Some very, let's say, well-known words in this verse. Familiar. Kardayanam. Of persons in the lowest grade. Dustyajam. Very difficult to give up. Kim. What is? Dvita atmanam. Of persons who are self-realized. Okay, so who is speaking here? Or let's say who is speaking, but who is this thinking or considering? Pardon? Vasudev. Why is he thinking like this? Oh, you haven't heard the verse yet, so I'll read the verse. You may not have worked it out. What is painful for saintly persons who strictly adhere to the truth? Listen carefully, there's a lot of lessons to learn here. What is painful for saintly persons who strictly adhere to the truth? How could there not be independence for pure devotees who know the Supreme Lord as the substance? What deeds are forbidden for persons of the lowest character? What cannot be given up for the sake of Lord Krishna by those who have fully surrendered to his lotus feet? So this is Vasudeva. He's contemplating or whatever the situation which he's in. So we read the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Since the eighth son of Devaki was to kill Krishna, I guess most of you here are familiar with that prediction. Yes, one says yes, but I guess most are. Maybe one or two have not heard it. But it was predicted at the wedding, at the marriage of Devaki and Vasudeva, that there was a prediction in the sky, so to speak. Kamsa, you are such a fool. You are driving the chariot of your sister. You do not know that the eighth son of your sister will kill you? As Kamsa was a little taken aback by that statement. The situation became quite critical, right? Being a demon, being so self-centered, fear is always there. As soon as we see fear, that means there's a demoniac influence. Of course, there's another type of fear, but we're talking of the general fear of this world. We're in ignorance. So immediately, it means we're self-centered. Immediately Kamsa became enraged. Because he didn't kind of run away. He became enraged. He thought he could deal with it. Different kind of reaction to fear. Afraid of being killed. No. So he reacted and he tried to kill his own sister. Can you believe it? At her wedding. What a reaction. This is the epitome of sense gratification or, self-centeredness. Even your own sister, she doesn't even know it. She has no idea that she's going to be this, the mother of he who will kill Kamsa. But he doesn't care. So one may ask, since the eighth son of Devaki was to kill Kamsa, one may ask what the need was for Vasudeva to deliver the firstborn child. So how many of you remember, because this is just at the end of this pastime, what is behind this? Why is he delivering the firstborn child? It's the eighth child. Why the first? Who knows?
Because he gave his word.
He gave his word of promise. This is how he convinced. Kamsa was not convinced by anything that Vasudeva said. Practically speaking, he wasn't even worried about the karmic reaction he would get. It was nothing. Vasudeva could not appease Kamsa by all kinds of religious statements, moral statements, all kinds of things, until he made this statement that he promised that he would deliver every child to Kamsa. So Kamsa then became a little appeased. The answer is that Vasudeva had promised Kamsa that he would deliver all the children born of Devaki. Kamsa, being an asura, did not believe that the eighth child would kill him. He took it for granted that he might be killed by any of the children of Devaki. This might be a trick. Vasudeva, therefore, to save Devaki, promised to give Kamsa every child, whether male or female. From another point of view, Vasudeva and Devaki were very pleased when they understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, would come as their eighth son. Is that in the prediction? Can you remember? That Krishna would come as the eighth son? Is that stated? I can't remember, to be honest. Some or another, they're understanding that the eighth child would be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva, a pure devotee of the Lord, was eager to see Krishna appear as his child from the eighth pregnancy of Devaki. Therefore, he wanted to deliver all the children quickly so that the eighth turn would come and Krishna would appear. He begot one child every year so that Krishna's turn to appear would come as soon as possible. My memory may be not working. It'd be nice to find out at what point or how Vasudeva became fully aware that the eighth child would be Krishna.
That was when Kamsa was bringing Devaki on the chariot and the voice came from the sky.
Yeah, well, I said that already, but did it say that Krishna, the eighth child, will kill you?
It said that eighth child will kill you.
Yeah, but did it say Krishna, the eighth child? The eighth child could be anyone in the universe, isn't it?
No, it is generally said the eighth child.
We all know that, but where is it said? Not mentioned. Some point of time he must have been informed by somebody somewhere. It'd be nice to find out. Anyway, that's kind of on the sideline. So let's go to the subject matter. One aspect or two of this verse have been elucidated, have been expanded a little bit by Srila Prabhupada, but there's some very interesting statements here. What do you make of the first line? What is painful for saintly persons who strictly adhere to the truth? What do you make of that? Does it mean anything to you?
But nothing is painful for them.
Nothing is painful. Why?
Because they know that they are not the body.
That's a philosophical approach, isn't it? That one who has that philosophical understanding probably goes a bit deeper, even if you have the philosophical understanding, which I guess most of us in this room do. I'm not sure if everyone does, but most of us probably do. I'm not sure if your son has quite got it yet, but his realization will come out shortly. So is that enough?
Truth is beautiful.
Truth is definitely beautiful. The truth. Anything else?
The love.
Pardon?
The love.
The what?
The love for Krishna.
Love for Krishna, yes. Love for Krishna is, of course, maybe, manifested at different stages in different ways. It may not be fully manifested and it may not be complete. I mean, many of us have read that article by Ananda Vrindavan in the Dandavats recently, I think. I can't remember when it came out, but it was some weeks ago, about her near-death experience, and she realized how much love I have for Krishna is not as much as I thought it was. How much my realization was not as much as I thought it was. At the time of death, she couldn't remember who even she had to remember, what to speak of remembering. She was completely helpless as the material energy just flooded into her consciousness. He was overwhelmed by material desire. Not desire so much, but thoughts, material thoughts. And she was told that she was about to die. So it was pretty scary. What more is there? Anything else?
The truth is absolute, it's not relative, there is no duality, pleasure and pain.
Yes. On the absolute truth there is no pleasure or pain. It says strictly adhere to the truth. Is there anything else we can say on this? It's all correct. We can say it in different ways. Yes?
But that's exactly my issue with this story, because the killing of the children is pure tamasic behavior.
Pure what?
It's pure tamasic behavior.
Tamasic.
Yeah, and so that's why I have a little bit issue with this story, because like you just said yourself, we need to find out when Vasudeva learned that the child would be Krishna. Because if he didn't know it was Krishna who was coming, then killing the children and having sex allowed to have children is pure tamasic behavior.
It certainly is tamasic behavior, there's no doubt about that. And having knowledge that the eighth child is going to kill kill Kamsa rather, is no doubt is going to be a reassurance or whatever you want to call it. Is there anything else we could say? Nothing else? Well, we could say a few other things. They're all related. A devotee is completely like a child being protected by their parent, even in the face of fear. They're not even aware of it, really, in one sense. They feel complete shelter, fearless, in one sense. Of course, materially speaking, that may not last, but at that point, they may feel fearless. So a devotee who's completely taken shelter of the holy name, taken shelter of Krishna. There are many verses like this, are there not? The holy name is feared by fear personified. You have nothing to fear whatsoever. Nothing. What is pain? What is pain? I don't mean from the transcendental platform. What is pain?
A feeling?
Pardon?
A feeling?
It certainly is a feeling. Anything? Why? What is it? Where's it coming from? First point mentioned, of course, is related to that.
Disconnection from Krishna.
Yeah, you could say it from that transcendental platform, but in the material sense, what is pain?
Not having what we want.
A good, simple, let's say, definition. Not having something we don't want, huh?
Something we want.
Something we don't want or want?
Not having something we want.
Well, it's the same as not having what we want, isn't it? The same thing. Means you don't have what you want. You want something and you don't get it, so it's painful. The same thing, it's just a shortened version. Something you don't want. Whether it's an object, like you lose something, you don't get something, you generally don't feel very good. Huh? Kind of pain. It may be slightly different than, say, if somebody punches you in the nose or you have a toothache or something. That's, we know, is pain. A different karmic reaction, which we experience. It's a karmic reaction, isn't it? Is it a karmic reaction? Unavoidable in this world, I think. Pain is unavoidable in this world, is a karmic reaction. And as Mayapur Chandra said, the one who really understands it realizes it. If you realize it, then one's not affected by it. The pain may still be there as a karmic reaction, but one is not affected by it. It's not disturbing us. We're not depending upon it. There's a happiness, we're not depending on that either. So on the transcendental platform, you could say. Something we don't want. So when that happens, we can become quite disturbed by the effect. And we see that also, in a sense, even in our own dealings. Huh? When somebody says something amongst devotees, whatever level it's on, we get quite disturbed sometimes. Quite disturbed. Sometimes it's painful. There's another type of pain. There's probably more than one other kind, but there's the pain which is described by Ramananda Roy, for instance. When he was asked by Lord Chaitanya, what is the most painful thing? What did he say? Yeah, to be devoid of the association of devotees. Sometimes we think it's better not to have the association of devotees. Have you ever heard that one? I've heard it quite a few times. It's so stressful being with devotees, huh? You heard that? They give me so many problems. It's ironic, you know. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita it says that's the greatest pain, not to have the association of devotees. Sometimes we have to learn a lesson. I remember one time I was in Kenya. Anyone been to Kenya? In Africa, I was there for some time. I was disturbed by tell the whole story, not the whole story, part of it. I was asked to go there by the GBC to try to kind of balance things up. They asked me to be the co-president. But there was no question of the other president allowing me to be co-president. He was determined to remain as the president. And I was kind of bit disturbed because they're doing things which I was trained not to do, financially at least. Spending money, God left, right and center. And I thought, this is ridiculous. And it so happened at that time, I was a little frustrated in that sense. And it so happened at that time, Idi Amin, have you ever heard of Idi Amin?
Yes.
Yes, no.
Yes.
Idi Amin was the president of Uganda. Have you heard of Uganda?
Yes.
Okay, a country next to Kenya, Uganda. Beautiful country. Perhaps the most opulent country on the planet, probably. Absolutely gorgeous. And he'd been the president. Now, Idi Amin was like Kamsa almost. The most, probably, many qualities. He had no inhibition about killing people, left, right and center, didn't matter who they were. When they kicked him out, they found his cellar was full of human skeletons. He was a man-eater. He would eat human flesh very nicely. He had no inhibitions whatsoever about killing anyone for any reason whatsoever if it brought him any kind of fear or pain. Just like Kamsa. Perhaps the most Rakshasa, he wasn't so powerful in the sense of influence, but in Uganda they said the population went down by about 50% during his reign.
Wow.
Many left, they managed to escape. 500,000 Hindus got out of Uganda and went to England. But the rest were, God knows what happened, mostly they never found out. So anyway, he got chased out by the Tanzanian army eventually after a terrific struggle. The whole army of Tanzania chased him out. I don't know the exact reasons why, but they did. And he left. He went to, I think, Libya or somewhere. And anyway, after he left, about 2 weeks after, we had one Ugandan boy staying in our temple in Nairobi who was very keen to go to Uganda and try to start preaching. So he was begging me if I could come with him to preach in Uganda. So this is great. I can get out of this situation in Nairobi. I was thinking, this association, I want to be away from it. And I'll go to Uganda and we can, bum, 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 heroes, first preachers in Uganda, So off we went to Uganda, the two of us. And from the moment we reached the border to the moment we reached the border on the way out was a lifetime experience of in this relationship, partially related to this we arrived. As soon as we arrived, what a big hassle it was getting through. But the first town, the first night, we got arrested by the Tanzanian army and questioned left, right, and center. Somehow we got out of there. There were gunshots all night long. We got to the next town, Kampala. It was called Tororo, the first town. The next town was Kampala, the capital. Well, biggest city. Entebbe is the capital, but Kampala was biggest city where most people were residing. And the same thing happened there. We got arrested again. Somehow or other we got out of there. Then we went to his hometown where he said he had land and we could start a nice center there. We went there and a unique event took place. There's a whole story. I've written it down. I haven't published it. But I won't tell the whole story. But eventually we got completely arrested by the Tanzanian army. This time it was the firing squad. We're heading off to the firing squad with the Tanzanian army in the back of their truck. This is only a little bit of the story. And somehow or another, it was an amazing experience. And, how would you feel when you know, it's not your thinking, the boy spoke the language, he told me what was going on. We are going to the firing squad, he said. How would you feel? You know what the firing squad is? That's where they shoot you with guns. Bang, they line you up like this. How would you feel?
Terrified.
You say that now. You feel the thought is quite terrifying, I guess, is it? You're going to be taken. I don't know what people feel when they go to their sentence is declared. You are sentenced to death. How would you feel? I don't know. I can't speak for you. Well, when he told me that, it was interesting. Up to that point, yes, there was fear. When he told me that, they're going to shoot us, fear went away. I can't say why. I don't want to presuppose it was Krishna's mercy, whatever it was, but it kind of went away. You knew what was happening. You were not in doubt. You knew you knew the truth. It's a relative truth, but you knew it. You're going to die. There's nothing you can do. If you struggle, you're going to die now, because there's 12 Tanzanian army men with machine guns sat with you in the truck. It's the middle of the night, going down into a lane in the jungle somewhere. There's no escape. I had no passport, they took that away. I had no money, they took that away. I had no connection with the world, they took that away. Nobody knew where I was. And we were heading towards the jungle. Well, we were in the jungle already. Krishna had another plan. I won't tell what happened, but it didn't happen. At least I don't think it did. Huh? Huh?
Yes, you can see that it didn't happen.
You probably wish it did happen. You'd have had no problems here. You wouldn't be here. You probably wouldn't be here if it didn't happen. If it happened. Anyway, whatever happened, happened. And somehow or another, I'll just briefly tell what happened. We were going down this lane. It was so narrow. It was like trees on both sides. Suddenly the truck stopped. I could see lights. We couldn't see why, but there were lights coming from the opposite direction. The truck couldn't move. And the next minute, the back of the truck opened and there was torchlight coming in. And there was some African guy talking to the Tanzanian army guys. And the next thing I knew, we were reversing and eventually turned around and went back to the town again. They took me out of the truck and threw me in the jail. Now, what happened, I found out later, was the, what do they call him? Forgotten the terminology. But there's an African guy in charge of the whole area, like a district commissioner. He was wasn't the district commissioner, he was the vice commissioner for the whole area. It was supposed to be, the Tanzanian army was supposed to be working under him, or his boss. His boss was away hunting in the mountains somewhere. But he said that he told them they had to take us back. Investigation had to be undergone. So I didn't know that until several days later. We're stuck in this prison. Now, I was stuck in that prison, and again, I won't tell the whole story. It's quite amazing. I was stuck in that prison, and one thing that happened was I didn't know what was going on. Fear came back. Fear came back. I didn't know the truth. I didn't know what was happening. Fear came back. Terrible fear, especially when I talked to the prisoner next to me. There were two cells. I was in the, as it mentions here, what did it say here? I don't know. What is forbidden, lowest character. Okay, it's not character. But there were two classes, upper class and lower class. Like on the trains, you get first class and ordinary. There were two cells. I was in the upper class cell, which was almost unimaginable. You can't imagine what it was like. To describe the lower class cell is unbelievable. If anything was like hell, the lower class cell looked like hell. It smelt like hell, it looked like hell, and it felt like hell. But anyway, I was in the upper class one, which was bearable. And the guy next to me, educated man, spoke English. I asked him, I said, what's going on? He said, I don't know. I said, how long have you been here? He said, I think it's about 8 years.
Wow.
He said, everyone in this prison, those who haven't died in the prison, have been here for God knows how long. And nobody knows what they're here for, and nobody knows how long they're going to be here. How would you feel? I started to think, why didn't they kill me? I would have, this is worse than death, stuck in this place, and nobody on the planet, even the boy who was with me, disappeared. I never saw him again. They let him go. Okay, local boy. I never in my life saw him again. I was stuck in this prison, totally alone, and no one on the planet knew where I was. It can get quite scary in that dark hole. Quite an experience. And, eventually, of course, Krishna had his ways, but he put us through that experience. We go through this duality and we realize how much we're on the bodily platform of life. I had another experience in Birmingham, completely different. Birmingham city in England. It was a different thing, but the same principle, ignorance. And how much we're attached. And attachment, detachment. One who's completely surrendered to Krishna has no attachments in this world, so what can be the cause of pain? So I had experience in Birmingham. One day I want to put it out in writing, these things. But this experience in Birmingham, we were at the Rath Yatra. We've just been to 3 amazing Rath Yatras in England. Right, Mananda? Not so convinced. I thought they were amazing anyway. They're always amazing. Rath Yatra is always amazing. So this was about 10, 15 years ago in Birmingham. And I was transiting car through Birmingham. I arrived for the Rath Yatra, and after the Rath Yatra I was going into another vehicle to go to Scotland. So we got to the Rath Yatra, and it was a great Rath Yatra, as always. Rath Yatras are nothing but great, no matter what happens. Just like at London on Sunday, the parade was a phenomenal, fantastic, amazing, brilliant, blissful, call it what you will, according to our level of consciousness. But when we got to the square, it was, again, fantastic. I frankly speaking, haven't seen so many people in the square since 1973. Wow. In the early 70s, there were more people on Rath Yatra than there are now. At least in the square. 10,000 Westerners in the square. Don't get that now. Mostly Indians, but a lot of Westerners too. The square was pretty packed. Pretty packed. After about an hour and a half in the square, it started to rain. I think it was raining just now. I don't know if it's still raining. And the rain got really heavy. And everything was pretty much washed out. After about an hour and a half, it started to real rain, But anyway, how do we get onto that? I don't know. Anyway, whatever it happens on the Rath Yatra, it's really blissful. So we had this wonderful Rath Yatra in Birmingham, and we were about to leave. The devotees transferred their luggage from one car to the other, about to drive up to, it was actually from a car to a van, up to Scotland. And we were just about to leave, and Pragosh came and said, Maharaj, Prabhu, please stay, we're having the final kirtan. So we went back again for the final kirtan. Half an hour kirtan on the stage, and then we went back to drive to Scotland. We got to the van. Oh, what's happened? We could see the window was open. Something's happened. We opened the van. Sure enough, all my bags were gone. I just purchased, for one devotee asked me, he was a technologist, Apple Mac specialist. He wasn't then, he was it the other one? What's the other one called? Apple Mac, and what's the other one called? The other type of computer? Huh? MacBook. No, that's Mac, that's Apple Mac. What's the other book called? Huh?
Laptop.
Anyway, the Microsoft, I don't know what it's called, the other one, the other type of computer. Anyway, it was that type, but it was like, I just spent $3,000 on this computer. That was a lot of money at that day. Brand new, I never even opened the box. It was in my bag to him. I had my own computer, I had this and that. Everything, actually the suitcase was completely gone. I was keeping these valuable things in my other bag. They emptied the other bag. The bag was still in the car, but there was nothing in the bag at all. Empty bag. Oh, it's not that bad. Don't worry, there's a nice story at the end of this. It's not all that bad. It's not all that bad. You know, I looked in there. There was a silver lining to every cloud. Believe it or not, they took everything out that bag and they stole the other bag completely. You know, suitcase. As well as the guest. They took the guest bag as well. He only had a little bag. They didn't touch the devotees from Scotland. They had their bags there. Their bags they didn't touch. Only the one I had, and the two I had, and this guest. And they took the few things, the camera and the sat-nav from the van, something like that. Whoever it was, they'd broken into the van and they'd stolen what they could. Probably they had to run, someone came or something, they ran away, they got scared or something. Anyway, what to do? All gone. The only thing, the silver lining here, was somehow or another, I had my deities in there, Gaur Nitai, they didn't touch them. The only thing left in the bag was Gaur Nitai. Unbelievable. They didn't take them for some reason. I don't know why, but they didn't. Maybe they thought this was something, a voodoo or something. They might get some curse if they stole them. I don't know what they thought. They didn't take them. And I had this experience then. You know how you feel. Everything gone, especially I bought this for this other devotee. What would be your immediate response? We didn't have mobiles in those days, so it wasn't that bad.
Frustration, anger.
Frustration, maybe anger. Why did we go back for that last kirtan? Damn it! You know. It happened while we were on the stage during the last kirtan. It was okay up to then. Pragosh. I didn't blame him. We went back to the square and to see the police. They came there, you know, we made the report. They said, this happens every week. This is, you know, nothing you can do about it. This is just common play in Birmingham. You know, it happens all the time. They say 1 in a million you get your stuff back. 1 in a million. They just, yes. There's a whole bunch of these people there all over the city. They just make it their business to steal. Anyway, after a while, we searched everywhere. They told us, you could try, you might find something in this area and that area. They usually dump it over here, they dump it over there, this, that, the other, whatever they don't want. So we searched, nothing could be found. We made a whole police report. 3 hours later, we're still sat in the van. A feeling of complete detachment came over me. It was a really nice feeling. First of all, I was, you know, feeling stress and, oh no, and, you know, I wouldn't say anger exactly, but to a certain degree, but certainly, you know, stress, and I really lost everything, you know, pretty much that's all I had. And this computer and this and that, there was kind of a feeling of like that, I guess. And then a feeling of detachment came, and I felt really release. I don't know, something just came upon me. And then suddenly, just as we were about to leave Birmingham to drive to Scotland, a phone call came to the boy with me. He must have had a mobile, I guess. I never had one. Yeah, he must have had a mobile. I guess they were there then. He had a mobile in his pocket. A phone call came, and it was from a police sergeant somewhere else in Birmingham, the other side of the city. And he said to this boy, I don't know his name, call him John, John, have you lost anything? He said, yes. He said, what have you lost? He said, I lost my bag. He said, tell us something about it. He told me a few things. The boy said, how did you know? He said, well, we found your bag. And your card was in there with his phone number. So we're just trying to see if this has anything to do with it. Yes, I lost my bag. So you better come over now then and see, we may have your things. So we drove over to the police station, and the police constable wasn't there. He came after a while, and he said that, yeah. Well, it so happened, he said, maybe we got your bag, tell us what was in it. And he started saying, and I was also there, and I said, I also lost my bag. He said, tell me what was in your bag. I tried to describe it, whatever I could remember, and one by one he was bringing them all out. Wow. Everything came out. Computers, phones. I didn't have a phone, maybe they did. Camera, sat-nav, everything. The constable was bringing them all out one by one. And they said, how on earth did this happen? He said, this happens maybe once in a year or once in 2 years, that we actually apprehend them and get everything from them, or get what we get. So they do their rounds, and they saw these guys unpacking bags and putting them in plastic bags and all sorts of things down this underneath a motorway junction somewhere, They circled around them and apprehended them all. Not all of them, maybe one or two escaped, but they got almost everything back. And my whole mood changed again. I was almost thinking, oh no. I was also thinking, oh no. I felt great relief. Then it was like my mind, my conscience was swirling around from one side to the other, It was quite interesting, the mood of detachment and attachment, detachment, and attachment again. It was quite interesting how Krishna shows how dependent we are, how attached we are, how fearful we can be, and we're still identifying with this body and my possessions. One was, you could say body, the other was possessions, but that attachment's still there, and sometimes he gives us those lessons. You can see that when you lose your mobile. Huh? Most of us, if we lose our mobile, how do you feel? Huh? Terrible. I remember in the van when we were driving from London to Leicester last week. Nobody could get, my mobile suddenly stopped working, you remember? Stopped working. Everyone tried, no one could get it to work. It was fun. I started laughing. I thank God. Thank God. What a relief. But it started working again. So I accepted one both ways. But remembering that experience, it gave me a little bit of feeling, well, whatever happens, happens. So be it. We're not the doer. Krishna knows best what's first. Tenu kampam susamikshamanam bunjana eva. So anyway, lessons to learn here. The mood, the feeling of which is being expressed here in different ways. For a materialistic person, they do any damn thing. They'll eat children. They do eat children. There are people who eat babies on this planet. They don't just kill them, they eat them. They do any damn thing for sense gratification. They eat cows, they eat children, they eat their own families sometimes, practically. People have degraded consciousness, and what they will not do. And the devotee is independent. He's not dependent on the ordinary course of events of this world. He's independent. We may utilize this material world, but we're not dependent upon it. And they're willing to give up anything. Are we willing to give up anything for the sake of Krishna? Are we willing to do that? I'm not. Anyone? I haven't got that one yet. You are? Willing to give up anything for the sake of Krishna? Anybody? I thought I saw someone's hand go up just now. Be careful, the temple presidents are here. Are we?
Sometimes, not sometimes. We may agree to give up big thing, in your life. But small things, no.
Yeah, the small things, we're more attached to the small things. And it's not just gross things, they're kind of easier. In many ways, it's easier to give up gross things than it is subtle things. I remember one time we were in Bury Place, 1972. I was in the basement with Revatananda and Swami, and he was talking to this hippie who was kind of proposing Mayavad philosophy. It's all one, Not the any realization, maybe a little bit. And so Vivekananda Maharaj he was a very powerful preacher. He said, okay, whatever the boy's name was, he said, okay, if you say everything's one, do you have any possessions? He said, yeah, I've got a car. Is your car here? He said, yes. He said, give me your keys. It's all one. What difference does it make if I have them or you have them? The boy was stumped, He defeated him. And he actually got his keys out and gave them to him. Of course, he wasn't very happy afterwards. He gave them back, of course. But it's just to show what a fallacy this philosophy is, He was, said he was attached to his car. Now that's a gross thing. But they're kind of, even that you may be able to give up, It's like, I felt like that a little bit when the suitcases had gone. But, the subtle attachments are another thing altogether. They may be habitual. They may be dreamlike ideas of who we are. They may be many things. But they're often very hard to give up. I don't know if any of you have this. This girl, Ananda Vrindavan, certainly realized that perhaps there was still some there when she had her near-death experience. All these thoughts and desires, which we sometimes embrace when they come into our mind, will come up at the time of death. Subtle attachments. They're not so easy to give up, are they? I don't know. Maybe they're easy for you. They're not easy for me. They're very deep. You can't see them. You may not even manifest them in front of others. You may say, oh, he's very detached. Oh, he's very humble. Oh, very tolerant. Oh, this, that, the other. But you don't know what's going on inside the, inside the, whatever, the heart. Krishna knows. Krishna can see. Krishna's very kind. And he'll put us in situations to help us to let go of those as well. They are the real pain. They can be much more painful sometimes than the external ones. You've got to give up your false ego. Not so easy. Anyway, that's another subject. Anyway, this is the heart of a pure devotee. We're not on level, but Krishna's putting us through various, sometimes externals, based on the bodily platform, and internal. Anuttapa, the pain, it's called anuttapa. The burning pain within our hearts. Fever within the heart. Admitting that you're wrong. Isn't that a difficult one sometimes? Genuine humility. Not always so easy. We're so attached to our physical identification. We're so attached to trying to justify ourselves and so on. Sometimes we'll say it's very hard to... Nowadays it's even harder with social media because maybe millions of people have heard what you've said. And to back out from that is not easy. Jesus, it's not easy. You can, in this day and age, you can practically be killed for doing that. Practically. In our movement, you can be banned, you can be excommunicated, you can be stripped, and so on. If you're genuinely honest, it's not an easy one. Kali Yuga is not an easy time. We must take shelter of the holy name. We must take shelter of Bhagavatam. There's no other solution, and the association of Vaishnavas. When I was alone in Uganda, especially when I was in that prison, the main thought, which was, let's say, a positive aspiration, oh Krishna, please, 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 give me the association of devotees. I don't care who they are. Somehow or another, give me their association, please. That was what I was thinking. Crying. Even though I didn't want it when I left Kenya. when I was in that prison in Uganda, I don't mind, I'll do anything he says, but get me out of here. Eventually when the actual commissioner returned, he interviewed me. He was an Oxford educated, big fat Ugandan man with old British moustache. I not see many Africans with a moustache, but he had one. He was really Oxford educated, and he spoke Oxford English. "You're not an Arab spy, are you?" he said to me. They thought I was an Arab spy because of the way I was dressed. "You're an Arab spy? No, you're not an Arab. You don't look like one to me, and you don't sound like one either." And he said, "You should know better never to come to these parts." He told me he should come here. And he said, "Here, take your passport." He got the passport back from the Tanzanian army, slapped it in my hand, said, "Out." He put me in his own truck and had me sent off to Kampala to take the next train back to Nairobi or back to Kenya. That was another story, another experience. Anyway, how Krishna works. He's there at every step. And what happens in our life is more than meets the eye. He puts us in different... And even if we are humiliated... By the way, to get free of these things, one has to... Say, for instance, we offend someone or find fault with someone on social media and then realize it wasn't the right thing to do. What do you do to counter that, to overcome that tendency, fault-finding, for instance? What do you do? It could be many other things. Let's take out one, fault-finding. What do you do if you... Subtly is very difficult because we're so conditioned, but if it comes out grossly, what do you do? Subtly, that's another thing, but grossly, you start, criticizing someone, fault-finding someone. What do you do?
Apologize.
You apologize. Okay, you put it on social media. What do you do?
Apologize on social media.
Great. Not so easy, is it? Not so easy. You've already got 1 million people worked up about what you said. Maybe they've already developed a nasty opinion about that person. And it's hard to get that out. That doubt comes into the heart and it just eats away like a cancer. It's hard to unwind that. Yes, it's one of the challenges of modern technology. It can work the other way, positively also. But from one's own point of view, what more can you do? It's really humbling, it's really humiliating. You're going to have a lot of reaction for that. Not just from Krishna, but from others. It's very humbling. And it's not always so easy. Anyway, that's another avenue which is, let's say, not time to go down, but it's a fact that we're holding on. Sometimes to concepts, sometimes to a false identity, sometimes to physical desires, sometimes to subtle desires about name, fame, prestige, and so on and so forth. We don't realize how our behavior affects others, and even when it's pointed out, we object, or we ignore, or we even criticize the person. We don't see how Krishna's hand is working behind everything. What's he trying to do? Is Krishna trying to bring us pain? Sometimes you hear this, huh? Why are you doing this to me, Krishna? I've served you for 40 years. Why are you putting me in this position? You ever heard that one?
Many times.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? We blame Krishna sometimes, right? When everything else fails, then we blame Krishna. So is this Krishna's fault? Again, it's one of those things we know, but we don't realize. Huh? Isn't it? We know, but we don't realize. Realize means it's not just you can see it and repeat it. It means you actually accept it as your life and soul. You've actually seen it. You know it's a reality. So what situation we're in is not by chance. Doesn't mean we should be stupid. Just, we have to use it, whatever intelligence Krishna has given us. But beyond that, we have to see how Krishna's hand is working. If you've got a toothache, you deal with it. If something is impossible, you have to do the needful. But we realize that Krishna has a reason for all of this. And what's his reason?
Purify us?
Pardon?
To purify?
To purify us. Yes, we can see it like that. To purify us of what?
Sinful reactions.
Thinking what?
Sinful reactions.
Yeah.
And attachments.
Sinful reaction is more than meets the eye for most people, isn't it?
And material attachments.
Material attachments, yes. False ego. What's the false ego? Self-centeredness. Purifies us seeing ourselves in the center. You can take it from that. False ego, seeing ourselves. All the other things like sinful reactions or bodily identification, they all come from that. These upadis, sarva upadi, tam tat padat vena nirmalam. He's trying to bring us to that platform where we give up this idea of seeing anything separate from him. Not just us, anything separate from him. Everything is connected to Krishna. Nothing exists without his grace. Everything comes from him, including us. We give up this idea we can live without him, we can be happy without him. But everything is to try to help us to come to that realization that we are his eternal servants, or the servants of his servants. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Any questions from those who want to stay on for a few minutes? You're welcome. Yes, Doctor. One at a time.
I was, in regards to Kamsa, you were saying at the end how we say something or we hurt someone, especially in social media, and we can relate ourselves that we did something and we're regretting. Kamsa was the same. You could see many times he speaks the philosophy. Even in Bhagavatam, he even apologizes to Vasudeva and
Devaki,
and then he goes back, associates with someone, and then they provoke him.
Straight away. Thank you for bringing that up. This is the key of change. The key of changing our consciousness, which we didn't go there. But the key of changing consciousness. For those who don't know, you'll read it in the Krishna book or the Bhagavatam. After Kamsa tried to kill the 8th child, and you may know that that 8th child was not what he thought it would be. It was none other than his worshipful deity, Durga Devi, who appeared before him and chastised him like anything, you rascal. Actually, she chastised him like anything. There's more, she told him that child is born elsewhere, but he had this repentant feeling in his heart for all that he'd done. And he did. He apologized to Vasudeva and Devaki for what he'd done, killing their 6 previous children. And as Lochan said, he then went, after that was done, and of course he went back to probably feeling really bad, and didn't know what to do really, he didn't know where he was going. You see this a lot of times. You see this with Indra when he tried to devastate Vrindavan. King of the demigods, he tried to kill all the residents of Vrindavan. Then, when he realized what happened, he became totally depressed. Can't imagine what he was feeling. Eventually, he was relieved, of course. But Kamsa, that could have been the start of his auspiciousness from a relative point of view, but it didn't. Because he immediately associated with his ministers, who were all demons. He had demoniac also, but sometimes even demons have a change of heart. But when they associate again, you get all the time, I'm never going to drink again. Next day you meet your mates and you're drunk again. Association, huh? By association. The whole thing is good association. Everything rests on that. Change of heart, change of attitude when we're chanting and hearing. Everything depends upon association. How we associate, who we associate. Not only who, but how. Association is the most essential feature. And you're being blessed here by many wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis coming here to New Mayapur. Take advantage of it. I think today they're coming, another group. I don't know who's coming exactly. Who's coming?
Rajabihari Prabhu.
From Chowpatty?
And we have Naveen Krishna Prabhu.
From UK? Yeah. Really?
And
who else?
Rasabihari.
From where?
He's also part of the manor. He's also one of the
senior devotees. And who's coming? Are they just? There's others coming with him, are there? A group? Huh? A group? Who? Pandavasena. I thought it was a school of Bhakti. What was it?
No, not school of
School of Bhakti came earlier, or what?
School of Bhakti came in May.
May. Ah, got
We
it.
had
Okay.
university preaching. There's even in Pandavasena there is different, divisions. The first one who were here before was
First division.
Casey Sock, the university group.
Casey
Conscious
Sock.
Society or something.
That was last week?
Yeah.
And this group?
This is more like younger kids.
Younger kids. Okay. So we got another group. They're coming for 9 days or something, is it? Yeah. Coming today?
10 days.
So please do everything you can to help them, assist them, serve them in whatever way you can. Make their stay very nice. After they leave, who comes? Bhakti Vikash Maharaj comes. So he's coming with a group of devotees, I believe. Is that right?
London, yes.
How many, do you know?
There's also like approximately 80 of them.
80 of them. How many are coming today?
Today is 96.
96 coming today. So plenty of service. Don't shy away from it. The secret of spiritual life is Vaishnava Seva. Learning how to serve the devotees. This is the main key, is how to serve, associate with, and means also serving with the devotees. So 2 groups, and then there's a little break, is there, before Balaram Purnima? No, there'll be others coming. I think Pritu's coming in 2 days or so. Nrsimha Kavacha is coming shortly. The minister, deity minister, is coming shortly. So Pujaris, be warned. No, he's calmed down a lot. He's really cool. And then we have another group coming, isn't it?
We have a whole lot for Balaram.
We have devotees coming for Balaram this year?
Yes, there's plenty of them.
And you know how many? I did ask, but I never got an answer on that
Guest house
email.
is full, so that means more than 90 persons.
What's that?
Guest house is full, that means more than 90.
A lot more.
90 bed, and it's full.
90 beds. But I mean, have you got any estimate how many devotees are intending to attend?
On the day of Balaram, we will get something like approximately 400. But during these 3-4 days before, we will have, like same everyday average, we will be cooking for like 250-300 devotees.
I think there'll be more than 400 if Radhanath Maharaj is here. I think more.
Probably can cook for up to 1,000 now.
It could be. You never know how many will come. Radhanath Maharaj has, probably the biggest magnet in ISKCON, probably. He's probably the biggest magnet in ISKCON, probably. Unfortunately, Madhava's not coming, is that right?
It seems like he's still hesitant.
Well, I wrote him quite a letter the other day. I don't know if he hasn't replied. He might be thinking how to reply to it. It's pretty hard for him to say no after the letter I wrote to him. I won't speak to him again for the rest of my life if he doesn't come.
I just wanted to speak to you about it before. I didn't reply personally. You saw the message.
Yeah, I wrote to him. I never saw your message until I replied before seeing your message. Anyway, let's see what Krishna arranges. And Prabhu Vishnu Prabhu's coming. Another senior devotee, fantastic kirtan leader. Adikarta Prabhu, another Prabhupada disciple is coming. Pariveda Prabhu is coming. Mahavishnu Swami and the Harinam Ruchi are coming. And yes, they're all coming. And Devaki Mataji is coming. And I'm sure a few others will come when they hear they're coming. And they all want their 6-hour spots every day. You have to have a 24-hour kirtan for 4 days. Jai Balaram. Give everyone the strength. Well, there's another thing, Balaram. The Rath Yatra yesterday. Now, something just slipped my mind, but it was related to all of that. But anyway, another thing just came up. Before the Rath Yatra started, I was in one mind. I cannot do it. I was so exhausted. I hardly slept the night before. I was feeling completely exhausted. I mean, it's hard to describe what that feels inside. Externally is one thing. When you're young, you get external exhaustion, maybe. When you're old, you get different types of exhaustion, internal exhaustion also. And I was exhausted. And I couldn't sleep. I tried several times to rest. Nothing happened. And then they said, I guess so, this is ridiculous. Let me just go downstairs anyway. If I collapse in the car or on the parade, so be it. So I went anyway. And I went in the car with Subhadra. in Duja's car, in Subhadra. We went to the square and I just looked at Lord Balaram when we got there, before everyone else came practically. I said, Balaram, if you want me to go on this parade, you better give me some strength. And I didn't feel tired even at 10 o'clock at night. Danced the whole way. Everything's by the mercy of Balaram. So it'll be possible only by the mercy of Balaram, don't forget that. We may think we can't do or we can do. Whatever we think or whatever we can is all by his mercy, so don't forget that. This is Balaram's festival. And he'll give you hopefully the right behavior, the right attitude, and the strength to do the service which is required. Jai Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.